We'll call the meeting to order. I'd make a motion to approve the minutes of the December 19th meeting of the Board of Selectmen.
No, second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to add subsequent business not on the agenda,
Okay, what is it?
the personnel policy.
Okay.
Let's, all in favor?
Aye.
Fellas, if you want to reach out, either phone call or whatever to Jeff and Linda to answer any questions with that, because they can articulate it better than I can. I think the goal was, and I know Jay had some concerns, and I think you shared those, Dean, was to get some sort of equity with the full timers as opposed to what the law mandates we have to do with the part timers. At the very least, I think what we can do is enact what the law requires for the part timers and then revisit the full timers compensation. There's nothing that says we have to do that, but we do need to do the part timers.
And that by January 1st, right?
Yeah. Jeff didn't feel that it would be a huge, the state's gonna be auditing and all that, but just so it's on our radar and we kind of get that portion of it done.
I don't mean to be a pain, but I did write comments back about it. I never heard anything, but right, I wrote them to you guys, right?
Yeah.
I never heard anything. And I asked to see the copy of the law so that I know what he's referring to. He just highlighted the changes, but he didn't say, I don't know what the law said we needed to do.
Oh, all right.
So I'm,
He was on that email, Jay?
I'd have to look.
Okay.
We brought it up here at the meeting.
Yep.
And then I'd have to go back and check, and I'm happy to do that afterwards.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not comfortable unless I'm not doubting that Jeff put in there what the law meets, but I'd like to understand it before I approve it.
Yep.
I agree, but I would also suggest that we approve it to be conforming since it is January 2nd.
Yes. So I would make a motion that we vote to approve the sick time provisions for part-timers to be compliant with the state statutes.
Agreed. I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Would Jay, do you want discussion on that? Because
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna vote, I'm gonna abstain from it. I don't know what those provisions are, Dean. Nobody showed them to me, and I understand whether the state, I'm not voting for something that I haven't reviewed, so.
I get it. I was thinking maybe we could make this provisional on, you getting that. In other words, I want to be compliant. I don't want to, because I don't claim to understand it either, but I also think it's important that we're compliant. So I think we should approve it. And then even pending, approve it, with the caveat that you still are going to get the information you're seeking. I don't know how to put this exactly, Jim, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I guess we can revisit it ourselves afterwards. So we're compliant now, and then at the next meeting, I'd like to have it on the agenda and get the information I requested so that we can, Jeff, either come to a meeting and explain what this, or Linda, I don't care, and explain what the state's requiring and why we, and then he still made some changes on the full-time side as well, right?
Right, but those,
I know we're not.
Yeah, those aren't part of this. And what I would say is, let's double check, make sure he got your communication, Jay.
Yeah,
to make sure he gets you the information you need. And then we'll go from there. But
yeah,
I think, to be in compliance, whatever that may be, and I forget the number of hours for part-timers, but that's the only thing I'm proposing with this motion.
yeah. Well, I'll vote for that as long as with the understanding that we're gonna come back and revisit this.
Mm-hmm, agreed.
Right.
We're unanimous?
We're unanimous.
Thank you.
We did have, now it's not really a resignation, but we got Millie and housekeeping put out to the boards and commissions that haven't approved their annual calendars yet. that we need those calendars, and one of those boards, and it was all the chairs, one of them was to the BAA, and Kevin Comer, who chaired the BAA,
There's no.
wrote back that he's no longer on the BAA. The problem is, again, according to state statute, we need, and Millie wrote him back and said, understood, can you please submit a resignation
Yeah,
with a wet signature? So as soon as we get that, I'm gonna reach out to Janet Hill and ask for some recommendations, because they've got things coming up next month.
right, yeah,
In the interim, maybe Bob or Ashley would chair, but we've got to get somebody on there to replace Kevin. So
yeah, that's gonna be, I
Hopefully.
assume we'll have some other appeals next month based on past history.
I would think, Jay, so that, it's not official yet, but I just wanted to make you guys
Yeah,
aware of it.
yeah,
Under the first selectmen's report, and I know I just got these out to you guys this morning, but those new electric rates proposal, the annual contract. Now, I'm not proposing we make any decision tonight because I also gave it to Linda Gomez and asked her to do a comparative review.
Great.
So she's gonna look them over and see where we are and make a recommendation as to what's best to do.
That's great. I did print them out and I thought I had them in this file, but.
Yeah, and as I was going through them, I thought, well, what am I,
Yeah.
Linda's got all that.
All right,
That knowledge.
that's a good idea.
The only other thing I had was, Terra Vigilis completed their study. We put everything out to the public on the website. We
Yeah.
sent it to the various lake groups. What I'm trying to put together now is a tentative town informational meeting for the end of this month,
Great.
working with Warren and Kent and
Great.
Terra Vigilis, and we'll do it. And Dean, I may have to pick your brain a bit on this, either you and or Jeff. The last time we did it virtual out in a big room. You guys recall that when we did the
Yep.
information meeting about the
Yep.
phase one?
Yep.
Like to see if we can try and do that again, because Warren and Kent would encourage their residents to come here because we're the
Oh.
largest venue.
Yeah, great.
So that's all kind of pending.
So,
It did make national. Sean Hayden at the interlocal sent me an article that was done by, I think it was the Madison Sentinel or something, and they referenced this entire study and how this is becoming an issue nationwide.
yeah,
In different lake groups in Wisconsin, and it's spread all over the country, but the beef of the article was all about the study done here.
because I believe, isn't it the state of Vermont or New Hampshire? One of the two states
Vermont.
can't ban it on every lake across their state.
Just about every lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know why there were some left.
Probably Lake Champlain or something. That's
Yeah.
big enough a lake to
But
do it, I
you're right, it
guess.
was Vermont,
Yeah.
Jay, and that was a year plus ago, I think.
Yeah, before we even, when we first started discussing it.
Yeah.
Question, Jim,
Sure.
is Sean in the Lake Authority gonna come with a recommendation to us, or is this something we need to we're gonna do on our own? What do you what do you expect, I guess?
I've talked to Sean and the interlocal or the task force, and I said to them, I said, you need to make a recommendation. You have all the information, you are the scientific arm of the 3-town interlocal. This is where all this research comes from, and he said they would. So that's gonna be critical,
Yeah.
and people understanding this.
That was going to be my question, Jim. So this meeting will be, Terra Vigilis will be presenting and sort of going over the findings. And then at that point, is the task force going to make a recommendation? It wouldn't not be the authority, by the way, or the association. It should come from the task force.
Yeah, yes, and I don't believe they're gonna make anything announced at that meeting. I think the takeaway from the informational meeting is gonna be, okay, let's absorb, let's discuss.
Okay.
And then we'll come out with a path moving forward, what we all feel is the best option.
Okay. Dean, this stuff, eight groups involved, how many ever groups there are involved in the lake always makes me confused.
Well,
We
it's
have-
very difficult. LWA is the same acronym for two radically different organizations, so it's very confusing.
Can you go back though? There's the Lake Warramog Authority.
Correct. That's the policing arm. That's
Okay.
we're responsible for safety and policing.
Okay, there's the Lake Warramog
Association.
Association, that's the membership of people on the lake, and then the task force is Sean's scientific group.
Correct. They're mostly funded. The task force is largely funded, when Jim can help me out here, by by the towns and also the association. They take, the authority is funded, we aren't really funded, we're solely nonprofit and funded by the three towns.
Right.
So yeah, so that really is and the important thing is the association is not just lake owned, not just
Right.
homeowners on the lake. That's
Mhm.
important. All kinds of people are members that just
Right.
have an interest and care about the lake.
Right. So not to, Jay, you nailed it, but now there's a fourth.
Oh,
The
correct.
Friends of Lake Warmog was
Oh, yes,
formed.
yes, that have become a.
I'm not
but
sure.
They're a political action committee, if I remember correctly.
It seems
They're private, where they're not
Okay.
endorsed by any of the towns or anything at this point. So they're a private group that's gotten together, with an interest on the lake. They're calling themselves their interest in the recreational environmental area of the lake.
Jim, remind me, Dean, who's our representative on the task force? The town?
We don't have a representative. It's again, this is
Oh.
I mean, Sean Hayden is the director.
Yeah.
There's
we
not,
typically,
yeah,
we'll meet twice a year, myself, Marty Lindemeyer and Greg LaCava. We'll meet twice a year with them,
Right.
Jay.
With
So
the task force.
yeah, so I guess you could say the first selectman of the three towns.
Okay, yeah,
right.
And Dean, you're on the
Authority.
authority, right. Okay. Great.
And that's all I had, fellas. And if they add another group, I'll put it out there. Jay, anything under?
No, I was just gonna ask the question about the next steps with the with the study, so
Okay,
that's,
great.
thank you
Great.
for being ahead of that. Otherwise, trying to, get back in the flow now the holidays.
Man, thank goodness. Dean?
I think it's important that we put out, some informational about what that meeting is for, that we are not presenting, any sort of restrictions, or we're presenting, so we don't get people's, all in a twist over, it's not going to be a vote. There's not going to be
Point.
informational, and then we move forward with, maybe from there we form some sort of a action committee that would take action, whether that be an ordinance or whatever it is, and include, folks from various groups, whatever, but we can make that after the fact.
We'll put out a very comprehensive description of what this meeting will be and what it will not be.
Great.
And typically with Kent and Warren, we've all been putting out at the same time, the verbatim information, so everything is uniform. I agree, Dean, 100%. We'll put something out that's very comprehensive.
Great, Jim.
With the meetings. Old business, none. New business, none. Susan, anything you like? You're good. Okay, I would move we adjourn.
So, second, I guess that is.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
You can get
Good night,
back to
everybody.
work.
No cocktails, no tropics.